Hello, 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 ASMR Nation. I want to talk about the movie I watched last night. It came out on August 30th. So as I'm filming this, just a couple days ago. And we finally got a chance to watch it. And it's called The Deliverance. Glenn Close is in it. Monique is in it. There's a couple other names in it that I wasn't familiar with, but they were all great. Even the children acting in it was great, which is rare, but crazy, and based on true events. So we're going to talk about it. Obviously, trigger warnings. It's horror. It's spiritual, paranormal. Anyways, before we get into it, you know the drill, you know the deal. We got to do some channel maintenance, some channel hygiene. So if you're new here, welcome to my nonsense. If you're old here, welcome back. Oh geez, if you're new here, please consider hitting subscribe. And if you're old here, go double check, make sure you're subscribed, hit the like. If you like, leave a comment. It could be anything related to the video. It can just be a hello, a few emojis, whatever, as long as it's cool and respectful. Hit the notification bell. As always, I will link my tip jars down yonder in the description box. No pressure whatsoever, but every dollar or two helps to allow me to continue to make content. Also, you are invited to my Patreon. I know not everybody can come, but you can't say you weren't invited. There is a ton of content over there. All right. So we watched The Deliverance last night. I kind of had to watch it in two parts because my husband was like hanging something in the garage, so he had to take a break right when it was getting juicy. But this is a case that I had learned about many years ago. So when I found out that this movie was based, when you find out a movie came out about something that you already kind of researched, you're like, whoa, must watch. Glenn Close. I don't miss an opportunity to watch Glenn Close. She is a queen. She's a queen. And I pulled up an article about the true story. The horrifying true story behind Netflix's The Deliverance. What happened to LaToya Ammons and family. This is from Forbes, if you want to look it up yourself. And it's by Monica Mercury. That's a cool last name. The Deliverance, which debuted on Netflix August 30th, is directed by Academy Award nominee Lee Daniels, known for Precious. So it's got like all stars. It's got Lee Daniels. Precious is crazy. If you have not seen Precious, pause this movie and go watch Precious. No. Watch Precious. Monique is also in Precious. But listen, and Sibian, I can't remember how to say her name. But be prepared to run the gambit of emotions. That is like an emotional, like it rips you apart. This film marks a reunion for Daniels with actress Andra Day, she's in it, and Monique, who previously directed Billie Holiday and Precious, respectively. Cast also includes Glenn Close, Anjanae, Ellis Taylor, Caleb McLaughlin, and more. Okay, Daniels told Hollywood Reporter that he hadn't heard about Ammon's story until after he made Precious. And once he did, he steered away from the movie for several reasons. You know what? There is some bad gas on Lee Daniels because I remember watching a Monique interview and there was something like about the pay on that. Anyways, one, I felt, this is a Lee Daniels quote, I felt I didn't want to do another story about abuse. This woman was abusing her kids, or what defines as abuse, because she was hitting the kids. And two, I know how I work. I'm an open portal. And I know what I demand, and I know the spirit works through me, so what kind of spirits do I want on me? I was like, nah, I'm not going to do it. So at first, Lee Daniels was like, this isn't a piece I want to work on. Daniels admitted that the story sat with him forever. We had never seen this story through the lens of an African-American woman on screen, and I just felt we were in such dark times. I don't think people really want to know how dark of times we are in. I felt like I needed to get reconnected to my higher power. Now, this, like I said, this is based on a true story. The story centers around the LaToya family, but there was a family before them that crazy stuff happened in this house. Almost like Amityville Horror, like that's true, right? Well, it's based on, the movies we've seen are based on true events. Yes, The Deliverance is inspired by the true story of LaToya Ammons. In November of 2011, Ammons, her mother, and 3 children moved into a rental house on a quiet street of small one-story homes in Gary, Indiana. In the movie, it's a 2-story home. But Ammons and her mother, Rosa Campbell, reported hearing footsteps going up the basement stairs after midnight and the creak of the door opening between the basement and the kitchen. One night, Campbell recounted waking up to see a shadowy figure of a man pacing in her living room. And when she got up to investigate, she discovered large, wet boot prints on the floor. This is not normal, Campbell recalled to the Indianapolis Star in 2014. We killed them and killed them and killed them, but they kept coming back. I don't know what that means. But that wasn't the only strange thing that happened in the house. Over the next few months, incidents grew worse. Ammons described witnessing her children levitating above their beds and being physically thrown out of the bathroom, getting injured by flying objects, and speaking in unnatural, deep voices. And at this time, per the movie, and it seems like per the real story because there are DCFS agents involved, there's a DCFS worker that comes by to check on these kids because the mom seems to be like a rager alcoholic, and I think the dad reported her, but the dad's not in the show, so is he, like, I don't know. So she's coming over and she's seeing all these bruises on the kids, right? So she thinks that the mom's been continuing to hit the kids. And the mom's like, I don't understand what's going on with these bruises. Like, some weird stuff is happening. Of course, you know, like any agent of anything is going to be like, yeah, right, lady, you know? But, so it's almost like, how terrifying. Like, what if your kids kept getting injured and you're not doing it and nobody believes you? But the movie portrays the mom to be really terrible. Just rotten. Not just alcoholically, like just rotten. Campbell recalled telling her daughter, we need help, we need to talk to somebody who knows how to deal with it. Ammons and Campbell contacted local churches, but most refused to listen. Nice churches you got there. According to Indy Star, one church official told the family her house had spirits in it and suggested they clean the home with bleach and ammonia and then use oil to draw crosses on every door and window. Somebody's up. Somebody's up. It's my teenager. Sometimes she acts as my paranormal experience. Ammons also followed a clairvoyant's advice and set an altar in her basement. She draped a white sheet over an end table and placed a white candle, Mary, Joseph, and Jesus statue on it, and opened up a Bible to Psalm 91. She told the site that she and another person wore white t-shirt and white scarves around their heads while burning sage and sulfur throughout the house. Where do you pick up sulfur to burn? And I imagine it smells, but to me, I'm a Palo Santo. Even sage can get on my nerves. They're like, well, that must mean you're the evil spirit. Okay, I guess I am. But I prefer Palo Santo. Now I like a sage candle. Will that do the trick? Ammon said nothing happened for 3 days, but then things took a frightening turn. The family reported that demons possessed Ammons and her children, and the children's eyes would bulge. Evil smiles would appear on their faces. Their voices would deepen during these episodes, and Campbell told the Indy Star that the demons did not affect her because she was born with protection from evil. That leads me to this thought. I'm not a know-it-all. I'm going to think logically as far as I can take logic. But when there are people out there, there's countless reports on this. There's, 2 families in this house that have went through these similar events and stuff. I'm not a know-it-all. I wasn't there. So, to me, this is true. Like, there's no denying this. There's DCFS agents, there's the families, there's two families, there's all these clairvoyance and things that we're trying to help. Like, that you're not going to spend money on these things if they're not happening to your house. You're not a family that they portray them as being broke, you know, so they're not looking for attention. Nobody's going to waste their money on things, not tangible things, when something's not going absolutely berserk, you know. Just because I haven't been attacked by an evil entity, no, I got baby dads. Never mind. Okay. On April 19th, 2012, the family visited their family's physician, Geoffrey Unikiwu. Ammons explained to the doctor the terrifying events that they were experiencing. Unikiwu, the doctor, told the Indy Star the situation was very bizarre, adding, 20 years, I've never seen or heard anything like this in my life, and I was scared myself when I walked into that room. So it looks like the doctor either made a house call or he was visited the family. No, this is when the kids were in the doctor's office, because there's reports from doctors and nurses of the things they saw in the hospitals and in the doctor's offices. In his medical notes, Onikiwu wrote the words delusions of ghosts and home hallucinations, history of ghosts at home, and delusional. During the visit, Campbell said that Ammons cursed Onikiwu in demonic voices. Medical staff said the youngest boy was lifted and thrown into the wall with nobody touching him. A DCS report reads, you are not going to risk, there's no way that you're going to risk your job by saying this stuff happened. Like, I'm going to get sent home from work if I say that I just saw a kid go fly up against the wall and nobody was touching him. They're going to be like, ma'am, go pee in this cup and call us tomorrow. Someone from the doctor's office called 911, prompting the arrival of 7 or 8 police officers and several ambulances, according to Unikiwu. Everybody they couldn't figure out exactly what was happening, he recalled to the Indy Star. As police and emergency personnel took her sons to the Methodist Hospital campus in Gary, someone contacted Indiana Department of Child Services to investigate Ammons for possible. So maybe in the real story they're not already being investigated, because in this article it sounds like it came upon after some hospital visits, but in the movie they're already being stopped and checked on by DCFS or DCS. The unidentified caller suggests Ammons might have a mental illness and that the children were performing for their mother, like she had convinced them to perform. The case was assigned to DCS Family Case Manager Valerie Washington, who conducted the initial investigation. In her intake officer's report, she noted that the hospital examined Ammons and her children found them healthy, while a hospital psychiatrist concluded that Ammons was of sound mind. So, at this point, now we're getting into the mid-movie, so spoilers, but if you want to back out, watch the movie. The examination scans and stuff say they're okay. And there's also like a psychological evaluation that says they're okay. But there's been things going on in the home. There's been things going on at school. All 3 of the kids have had some very weird incidents. I don't know how true the movie depicted those incidents, but if those were accurate, then, and all 3 of them on the same day, and it probably wasn't all on the same day in real life, but when Washington spoke with Ammons, the 7-year-old boy began growling with his teeth and his eyes rolled back in his head. He then locked his hands around his older brother's throat and refused to release him until the adults pried his hands open. Later that evening, the 7-year-old reportedly said, "It's time to die," in a deep voice to his older brother, "I will kill you." In an eerie turn of events, Washington Original's DCS report recounts that the 9-year-old had a weird grin and was walking backwards up a wall to the ceiling. He flipped over Campbell, landing on his feet, never letting go of his grandmother's hand. Walker, the nurse at the time, corroborated this account. How do you go home after seeing something like that? How do you not lose it? He walked up the wall, flipped her over, and stood there. Walker told the Indy Star that there's no way he could have done that. Well, right. Right. That's the point. What aren't you getting? That's what we're saying. When the police later asked Washington if the boy had run up the wall as if it was a performing acrobatic trick, she answered no. According to the police report, Washington said the boy glided backward on the floor, wall, and ceiling. It was a gliding motion, not an acrobatic move. DCS eventually took emergency custody of the Ammons' 3 children without a court order. On April 20th, 2012, a hospital chaplain contacted Reverend Michael Maginot, the priest at the St. Stephen Martyr Parish in Merrillville, Indiana, to perform an exorcism on Ammon's 9-year-old son. Maginot performed 3 major exorcisms on Ammon at his church and blessed her new home in Indianapolis. So they're out. Like, was GoFundMe a thing back then? Because, like, get this lady out. Let's throw some money at it, get her out. If it's still happening, I guess you guys got it. Then we'll talk about, like, taking the kids and stuff. But, well, they said there was abuse before. So I'm confused. But afterward, Maginot, I don't know how you say his last name, stated that he was convinced the demons were tormenting the family and that there were ghosts in the house. Campbell and Ammons returned to Carolina Street to allow Washington to inspect the home's condition, accompanied by 3 police officers. According to police records, one of the officers' audio recorders malfunctioned. The power light flashed to indicate the batteries were dying despite the officer inserting fresh batteries earlier that day. When another officer recorded audio and played it back later, he heard unknown voice whisper, "Hey." According to Lake County Police records, one photo taken at the house appeared to have other photos taken, I guess, by the police department. Cloudy white image resembling a face, while a second photo in green seemed to depict a female figure. Ammons regained custody of her children in November of 2012 after moving to a new house and successfully meeting the objectives of DCS case plan for her family, according to the Indy Star. In request for dismissal of wardship filed by DCS in January 2013, it was noted that Ammons and her children had made progress and participated in home-based therapy. The report says that family have not experienced any issues with demonic presences or spirits in their home in Indianapolis. They're moving on from that point in their lives. The family continues to attend church regularly on Sunday, but the family is no longer fixated solely on religion to explain or cope with the children's behavior issues. I don't know exactly what that means. Their haunted home was eventually purchased for $35,000. Article said that the current tenant, now it says here that they had a current tenant, called the police to complain when reporters and photographers showed up and declined offers of money and interview requests. But on the movie at the end, it, like, you know how when based on a true story, it says like, where are they now at the end, or what's going on now? I believe it said that nobody moved into the house. It does say that the house has since been bulldozed. It was bulldozed in 2016, and this article does not cover that, so I don't know. And then it goes back into like the Lee Daniels and how he did not want to do the movie and he didn't want to meet LaToya. And I kind of wonder how LaToya feels after watching this movie now because of how she was depicted in it. Now, I don't know her. She wasn't my friend, so I don't know if she was as rotten in the beginning as the movie portrays or not. And if you think about Lee Daniels' style, like, he does like to incorporate that element. So I don't know if he hyped it up, but he said he was nervous about meeting LaToya, and I think they talked twice before he produced the movie. It would be interesting if she came out with, like, you know, something now that the movie's out. But I also had a screenshot that one of my friends sent me that was about the interview he did on Breakfast Club. So if you watch Breakfast Club, you might have seen this. If not, you can go check it out for yourself. This was posted by a Denise Wilson. It's public, but Y'all be careful watching Lee Daniels' new movie on Netflix, The Deliverance. Him and the lead did an interview with The Breakfast Club, and they said it was so demonic they had a preacher on set every day during the break. Stuff was happening on set and at home for most of the cast members. The lead started speaking in tongues while filming, and that was not part of the script. He said nobody knew what to do, so they let her go until she wore herself out. Charlemagne asked Lee Daniels, would he ever make another movie like this? And he said never in his life would he do this again. He said they were so terrified on set every day that he didn't even want to go to the movie to begin with. He's been sitting on the script since 2009, and yes, I will not be watching. So that part is up to you or not. Oh, my teenager just sent me happy Labor Day. She's the good witch today. Anyways, that part, like I sent that to my son after I told him to watch the movie. I was like, wait, just so you know, like this is supposedly what came out about the interview about it. And he's like, do you think that part is just hype? I said, that part could be just hype. It could be just hype, like, yeah, we made the movie and all kinds of crazy stuff happened, so go watch it. But as you see, it's having the opposite effect, because the woman that posted it said, like, after she heard about that interview, she's not going to watch it. So I don't know if that's a good tactic or not. Anyways, let me know if you watch Deliverance. Let me know if you plan on watching it. Let me know if you're like, absolutely not, because it is kind of like Exorcism, but based on a true story. It was enjoyable. Glenn Close knocked her role out of the park. She got weird with it. Like, she took it there. Her whole aesthetic. Like, I was like, Glenn, you can do hard things. Like, you did it. She did it. She tore it up. Okay, if you watched this all the way to the end, thank you very much. I am in my nightgown. I'm like halfway ready. I hope you have a good rest of your day, night, good night sleep, whatever, and I'll see y'all real soon. Toodaloo.